Yeah, that's right. It's your boy CL King, along with my man Brian Popin. Yeah, man, I had to end the week the right way, ladies and gentlemen. This is CL King coming to you live from the High Definition Studios here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. What does Brian Popin say?
When I feel like giving up and I feel like giving in, all I gotta do is stand on his promises.
He won't let you down.
He won't let you down. He'll turn it all around. So say, yeah.
Man, I tell you what, man, this is why I love what I do. Because every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I get to bring people into this virtual studio from all over the world. And my man, Brian Popin, tells you to do this. Watch this.
I can make it. Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Trust in the Lord and say hallelujah. I can make it. I can make it. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
So y'all, listen, for those of you that's been riding with us for a while, man, we're blessed to have our affiliates in 10 different countries, almost 15 different states throughout the country, and on 11 different platforms, impacting life 24/7. Now, it wasn't just that long ago, back in September of 2019, that we were like, we were recording the show on a phone and we didn't have a clue what we was doing. But you know what? God said, don't give up. Keep pushing. Trust in the Lord. You can make it. See, so I got a guest on tonight that can sing this song. I don't know if he's a singer. I don't know if she's a singer, but I got guests on tonight that can sing this song that says, hey, listen, no matter the adversity, I can make it. And when you hear their story, y'all, you ain't gonna be able to sit down. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you to Brian Popin, international gospel recording artist who has been so kind to let us use his music from time to time on the show. And I would love for you to go and bless Brian Popin because it's been a difficult time for gospel artists. You can cash app him at Brian Popin, $ Brian Popin, or you can go to on Venmo at Brian Popin Ministries. He is not a sponsor of this show, but his team, when we reached out to their camp, we said, hey, listen, man, we know it's been tough for gospel artists. Brian Popin's performed at TD Jakes' Potter's House all over the globe. And COVID hit, and, you know, these artists can't travel. So I want you to bless him tonight, if you would, because he's blessing us. But I'm going to let Brian Popin get on back to what he was doing before he came on our show. And I'm going to tell you guys about some really cool, amazing guests that I have tonight. I mean, when I say cool and amazing, that's probably a major gross understatement. These people have created a foundation, a nonprofit, and a work and a ministry was with the mission of educating and empowering people that are fighting heart disease and other heart health related challenges. Whether you've been battling heart disease for years or are recently diagnosed or are searching for answers so that you can prevent heart disease issues, these people are going to be here for you with solutions, resources, and support that not only that you can survive with, but you can thrive with. Y'all know it's one thing to survive. It's another thing to thrive. You see what I'm saying? So I am blessed to have in the virtual studios with me. Now, here we go. Javie and Jessica Madrigal. Did I get it?
You got it.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Man,
How's it going?
man, I am so delighted to have you folks on, man. I tell you what, we always try to make the introduction a kind of an experience all to itself. And so we're so blessed to have you, Javie, and Jessica on our virtual studios here at Impacting Life 24/7. We talked to them the other day, ladies and gentlemen. It really was just a few days ago, guys, and that is not something that typically happens. Usually the guests that you see me introduce to you, I've talked to months ago, because our waiting list to get on the show is just so the buffer is so big. And Jessica, who is a ninja by trade, she saw an opening on our calendar and she said, I don't know who else was supposed to get that, but that was for me and Javie. And so we're very, very blessed to have you guys. And I would just like to do what we typically do all the time is if you guys can tell us before we do anything else, how can people contact you and how do people get up with you, Javie and Jessica?
Yeah, so we have a few things. So you can check us out and all of our resources on our nonprofit website, which is www.underdogninja.org. We do have a free Facebook community or group, and that's at facebook.com/groups/Underdog Ninja. You can find us on Instagram at Underdog Ninja as well, and either one of us on Facebook too. And we're linked into that group, so you can find us there. And we're happy to help any way we can through any of those platforms.
All right, so Greg, thank you for putting their information in the chat. We really appreciate it, and I think I tagged you guys, so hopefully our live audience can go on this journey with us tonight. You guys are going to want to stay because this story is. I mean, I think every time I hear a story on this show, I'm like, man, it can't get any better than this story. And then I get Javie and Jessica on, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, it can't get any better than this story. And so we're very, very blessed to have these folks from the western part of the country, all the way the northwestern part, to join us. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. I'm going to go with girl, boy first. So I'll ask Jessica to go first and Javie. But tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, my name is Jessica Madrigal, and I'm married to Javie, the amazing story. and we coach people with heart disease. I'm originally from the Northwest. I grew up in Oregon. So I've traveled and moved different places in the US, and we lived in different states, but now we're back in Washington state now. And it's just been an amazing journey for me to go through this. And really God's just put a calling on us we just never knew. And his story was just part of that journey.
Right. You know, we've been we coming up on 10 years now, being married, and you know, I'm just so blessed to have my wife alongside with me during this journey. I mean, I don't know really how I could have done it without her. You know, I started my heart disease journey before we got married. We were friends for quite a number of years before we got married. And, you know, these last 10 years have just been amazing. But yeah, I'm Javie. I'm originally grew up in California, Northern California. We're up here in the Northwest now. But I've been fighting this disease for many years, for 18. So yeah, it's been 18 years. Yeah. And you know, through this journey, there's been a lot of highs and lows, a lot of confusion, a lot of emotions behind it. And we learned quite a bit. And God put on a few years ago, God put this mission on us, put this on our hearts, that we needed to help others. We felt that there was a huge gap of people that needed to be served, and his people. And so we answered that call. And, you know,
We
we've
continue to answer that call. It just,
There-
it changes every day. It's
that's right. That's right.
You know, and again, thank you guys for tuning in, our live audience. Man, you guys got people commenting. They obviously know y'all. You know, a gentleman named Shane, or I mean, maybe I'm hoping it's a gentleman or a girl. Shane, whoever Shane is, they
Yes.
said that these are the underdog ninjas are the real deal. So they feeling y'all out there. Shane's got some shout outs to you, and thank you, Katrina, for giving us some comments, solutions, resources, and support. Absolutely, that's exactly right. And so, listen, I was about to call you Shane. Listen, Javi and Jessica, because I feel like God brought us together for such a time as this.
Mm.
So many people have. She's a boy. So because so many people have gone through so much over the past year, we've gone through more things than we have gone through as a collective body of people in a generation or a lifetime, really.
Yeah.
But Javi, what you've gone through is something that, you know, when somebody looks at you, and I'm going to put the poll out there now for all of our live listeners, I'm going to give away a free CL King Impacting Life 24/7 giveaway of our merchandise from our merchandise store. If you can guess within 1 or 2 years how old Mr. Javi is. Now, those of y'all that know him, you're not allowed to guess. I might have my staff to guess, but within a couple years, you get a free merchandise from the CL King Impacting Life 24/7 merchandise store. So take a guess of how much. Yeah, don't cheat, Sandra. Whoever Sandra is, she's trying to say I won't cheat.
Sandra.
So don't cheat, all right? But any of the other listeners out there and viewers out there, if you'd like to take a guess on how old Javi is, you get it within a couple years. We'll hook you up. So Javi, the journey that you've been on, and Jessica, the same thing, because you've been right by his side, started 18 years ago. Javi, kind of help us walk through how this started and what happened with you, bro.
You know, my form of this disease is hereditary, and you know, my father passed away of a heart attack at age 48, and then his brother a few years later at the same age. Heart disease is strong in my family, and I knew that growing up, you know, and so, you know, I tried to live my life as best as possible. I didn't try not to pick up any bad habits. You know, I didn't smoke. I you know, I didn't drink excessively. And I tried to stay active. And I thought that was going to be enough. I thought that I was going to live my life and be able to dodge that bullet, you know. And however, I started getting symptoms in my late 20s, early 30s. I started having symptoms. And at that point, the doctors were like, you're too young, you know, you're active. It has to be something else. So they would diagnose me for something else, in and out of the doctors. And yet in my mid 30s, you know, it started catching up with me. My test results were just going through the roof. I remember being in the emergency room, and they took my panel, my blood panel, my lipid panel, and this doctor's eyes were huge. And he goes, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to change because you're going to die within 5 years. You know, he's like, you need to do this now, because the levels were just through the roof.
I think your total cholesterol was over 500.
Yeah. And
Like
he
some
goes,
bedside manners, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, yeah, man, sometimes, but yeah, I mean, at 38 years old, I got my first stent, and I thought, okay, well, the doctors told me, well, you need to correct your eating habits. You need to stay active. You need to, you know, lose some weight. So I went to the gym, worked hard, and I, you know, the doctors didn't really give me much to go on, just do this,
Right.
but nothing else. So I searched, and I tried to eat as best as I knew how. And like I said, I worked my tail off. I was in the gym, 5 to 6 days out of the week, 3 hours a day. And I got fit. I lost weight, but on the inside, my disease was progressing.
Mm.
And the doctors would continue to just give me these pills, and it would see some results, but it wasn't enough. So much so at age 40, I had my a quadruple bypass. When I got my quadruple bypass, that was a huge reality check. You would think getting a stent would shake me up, and it did a little.
Right.
But I thought, okay, I got my stent, I'm good, right? I could beat this.
Mhm.
And I think every time I say, well, I could beat this, that's just been my attitude. But when I had that open heart surgery, everything kind of in my life at that point was just falling apart. I felt like not only that they, I don't mean to be graphic, but they not only did they rip me open, but my life was being ripped apart too.
Mm.
My life was coming apart. Look, at this point in my life, I've always, I've always felt a close relationship with God. And, but to that point, my spiritual life and my connection with God was up and down too.
Right. Right.
And at that point, my relationship with God wasn't ideal. I was far from God, actually.
Mm.
And I like to say that, I woke up out of the hospital, and I went and I seeked God, and I was changed. And that's not the truth. The truth is I went on this whole journey to figure out who I was and what was going on with my life. What did my life mean? Why did God spare me? And if he spared me, then what do I do now? My relationships were falling apart. My friendships were falling apart. I felt isolated. And many people in this community of heart disease warriors, we feel alone. We feel like no one understands us. But
Well,
pray.
before you go on, because you're right. It is a unique uh construct. It's a unique architecture to live under, heart disease. And many people, even when we talked the other night in our pre-interview, it was just like, man, I got to get educated, because what does this really mean? And just something to make you smile. One of my staff members, Katrina, she for the Impact Life 24/7, she guessed you at being 37 years old, so you should smile
Yes.
about that, brother. He had already let the cat out the bag that he was 40 when he had his quadruple. So what I want to know, you can understand that our audience is vast and varied. So you're not going to offend anyone. What involves a quadruple bypass? What do they do?
Mm. Yes.
They cut your sternum. I don't know if you could see, but
Yeah.
about right here, all the way down to your solar plexus where your ribs come together. So they cut you open and they break your ribs.
Mm.
So they spread your ribs wide open because they have to get right down into the heart. And in some cases, because with the bypass, they have to take the arteries to the heart are all diseased. And in my case, I had everything going to my heart that had enough disease that it wasn't enough to just stent. They had to bypass those. So how do they do that? They harvest healthy arteries from somewhere else in your body, and usually it's your legs. And I was lucky enough, and some people aren't as lucky as I was. Most of the time, a lot of the times they have to basically fillet your leg. They open up your leg and get to the artery.
Wow.
This with me, they were able to like tunnel in. They had small incisions, and they were able to tunnel in, harvest what they needed, and then they take those new arteries, and they graft them. They bypass the diseased artery, the diseased vein to your heart, and therefore you have blood. You know, I count myself lucky, because the risk of further disease from recovering from another wound and infection and things of that sort, I recovered from that relatively quickly, but yeah, I mean, it's no joke. I mean, and they have wires to monitor. They have to put monitoring devices, wires on your heart too. So they have to put holes right on the top of your abdomen, and they put wires up in there too. So not only do you have this, you have holes all along here.
And then tell them about your bread ties that you call
them. Oh, yeah. So I call them bread ties. So they sew you all up, right? And I have down my sternum now, I have what I call bread ties, these wires that hold my chest together.
Wow.
Well, now it's grown back together, but yeah. So anytime he gets an X-ray, so it looks like metal bread ties. So it's on the inside, but it goes these metal things, and then they like twist it. So they look like these metal things in there, and it's like battle wounds.
You can stretch your arms out a little bit, can't you?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Lord, I say, don't stretch, brother. Yeah, wow.
No, I mean, it took quite a number of years to not have so much pain here. I had pain still here, healing from the scar,
Yeah.
But that's worked itself out, praise God. But yeah,
it's involved. I mean, it's so involved, and the recovery is different for everybody, but it's definitely a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They had so his recovery is like, they have you up quickly, by the way, because they don't want you to sit with like fluid in your lungs or anything like that. So you're talking all of that, and they have you up walking like the next day or the same day?
No, I was up 4 hours later.
Yeah, like walking in the hall.
Oh, wow.
But with like a pillow, that heart pillow over there that's on the shelf, you can barely see it there. Yeah. But you have to hold that. So like if they cough or sneeze.
Yeah.
So this was, again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for our live audience tuning in to Impacting Life 24/7. I'm joined by Javie and Jessica McGriddle. Lord,
McGriddle. That's right.
I told them I was going to butcher their name, man.
McGriddle's my favorite.
McDonald's McGriddle. What? Javie and Jessica Madrigal.
Madrigal. Got it. It's cool.
Y'all who listen to this show regularly, you know how many people's names I butcher, so just please forgive me. But we're blessed to have Javie and Jessica with us, and they are giving us a very detailed explanation into their life, kind of peeling back the covers of Javie's long 18-year journey of battling heart disease. Now, after this major surgery, it wasn't the end, right, Javie?
Oh no,
that was the beginning.
Yeah,
that was the beginning.
And I was talking, more about my recovery. The reason why I want to bring that up, because when you're recovering or trying to battle heart disease, the doctors and everybody will tell you, all the pamphlets you'll receive and all the research, everybody says you need to focus on two things besides the medications the doctors give you, is your activity level, your fitness level, and your nutrition. Now they'll tell you, you might get emotional. You might even fall into depression, but they don't go further than that.
Right.
They don't dive into what most of us do go through, because we do feel like we lose a part of us. We lose that identity of who we thought we were going to be. We don't know, even with the bypass surgery, we get this maybe a new sense of of life, right?
Right.
And we feel good after we recover from that, but we, we're still going through, who are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went through a while trying to figure that out. And finally, I seek God for answers. I even had to go and get some therapy to kind of work out some stuff.
Right.
Which was extremely helpful.
Yeah. And praise God, I met a therapist that understood my beliefs and understood where I was with at that time, where I was trying to reestablish my connection with God, and she encouraged that and helped me to do that and work out a lot of things.
Mhm.
And that's where I was. And I so we continued to, I went back to the gym. I worked even harder. I'm like, I'm not going through that again.
Mhm.
I don't want to go through that again.
Ever.
Right.
Wish that
So
on everybody.
I worked out really hard, and how can I refine my diet even more? And with all that, my disease continued to progress.
Oh yeah. So let's see. After that, 2 years after his bypass, he had another stent.
Yep.
And then he continued. So he has 10 now total. Just a spoiler alert. He has 10 now.
10 stents to include
Total now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in addition to having your chest opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we've tried every diet. That's part of the story.
Yeah.
Is when they're continuing to give us all of this information about nutrition, you should change your diet. And then they're not trained on nutrition, right? So
Right.
it's always like, do your best or try something different or whatever's not working, to change it, whatever. They don't really know. So
Right.
we threw ourselves into research and trying, and we were never not about doing it.
I would volunteer for because I was always a good candidate because I was young, having this disease. So I'm a good candidate for a long-term study. So I was always raising my hand to be a guinea pig, because
Yeah.
I wanted the miracle cure. Whatever's out there, I wanted it.
At
That
one
was-
point, he was talking
right?
to him about, do you have like nanobots that can go in there? Like tell me there's something.
right?
Yeah. And
So, but yeah, I mean, the doctors tried all kinds of different things. They would give me, I would go to specialist after specialist, getting different types of cocktails and having all the different side
Yeah.
effects. I would have piles and piles of pills,
Yeah.
and I would see some results, but it still didn't slow down this disease. And, fast forward a little bit, about 3 years ago, I'm being rushed back to the hospital. I'm at work at this point, and I had to leave work. I had a coworker take me into the emergency room. She had to meet me there. And the doctors at this point are saying, look, your grafts that you got, your quadruple bypass, they're starting to block.
Oh my.
They're starting to fail.
Mhm.
And at that point, I felt like I felt completely defeated.
Yeah.
I'm like, what else, Lord? What else do I need to do?
Yeah.
I'm turning to my wife. I see the look on my wife's face. I see my kids. I don't want to leave them. I don't want to see them scared. I felt like I still had a life to live, and I've been doing my best. And, I'm really talking to God and, Lord, give me an answer.
Well, before you tell us what the answer is, I want to do two things. Number one, when we come back from the break, Jessica, you remember, okay? I want you to help him remember what God told him in the answer. And then I also want us to go down and cover in more detail what a stent is and what it does. Okay.
Great.
So real quick at the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are tuning in to Impacting Life 24/7. That's right, with your host CL King, and I'm blessed to have Jessica and Javie in the studios with me. And
McGriddle.
McGriddle and Madrigal. We are blessed to have sponsors that help put this show forward and help us every single month. with sponsorship, and our gold sponsors get a free commercial on the show. And so I'm going to tell you about Greg Smith. He's one of our gold sponsors. He's actually one of our gold, platinum, silver, and trifecta sponsors. He has a book called 100 Simple Ways to How to Manage a Property and Evidence Room. I want you to get a copy of his book and reach out to Greg on Facebook, or look him up at Smith G1963 at yahoo.com. Also, Michelle Perry is a gold sponsor. She's the founder of the Successful Diligence LLC, and she's also the host of the Successful Diligence podcast. She's also a part of our Leadership Institute and a contributor there. She's the best-selling author of The Pebble in My Shoe. And you can connect with Michelle and get a copy of her book at successfuldiligence.com. Very, very simple. Adrienne Barker, who's going to be on our show, she's a gold sponsor, new gold sponsor, and she is the founder of the Adrienne Barker Speaks podcast, and she's also a life coach and CEO of Professional Global Etiquette. And so I love for you to connect with Adrienne Barker at professionalglobaletiquette.com. And of course, the CL King Group Incorporated is a gold sponsor of Impacting Life 24/7. So now I'm back again. See how you see that it was? Y'all didn't even have to leave the studio. I'm back with Javie and Jessica Madrigal. I'm back with Javie and Jessica.
Or magical.
Magical's good. Yeah, we like that one too. It's a fun game. I know.
I'm back with my guests, Javie and Jessica, who are so cool. They're from in Washington State, right? That's where you guys are. And they're telling us about this amazing journey that they've went through, especially in, it's both of their journeys, but obviously Javie had to live it. 18 years of dealing with heart disease, having gone through a quadruple bypass, and he has upwards of 10 stents presently. And as he's going on and a couple years pass, they come back with some, you would think, okay, things are getting better, but they come back with some different news, and they say, man, your bypasses, that they're not upholding, they're not lasting, they're failing. And Javie's looking at his wife. Javie, I know, looks like a young man, but I'm gonna let the news out. He's over 50, right? You're over 50, right, Javie? Yeah, you would have never guessed that, y'all, in a million years. But he's looking at his wife. This is several years ago, but he's looking at his wife. He's looking at his kids, and he's like, man, it's not time for me to leave. I got so much life to live. And so he's like, God, what are you trying to speak to me? And so it was at that point that we left off before the commercial that you were waiting on an answer from God. So what happened, Javie?
Well, the ER doctor comes in, and he's looking at my chart, of course, before he walks in the door. And he walks in and he's looking at my chart, looks at me, and he's like, I was expecting to see a whole different person than I'm looking at, because outwardly I looked healthy, but inside I was very diseased. And so we had a discussion. He updated me on my condition, and then he's like, do you mind me sharing my story with you? And he went on to tell me his personal story with his wife, and how his wife had rheumatoid arthritis, and it was debilitating. And he took her to all these different doctors. Him himself, as a doctor, as an internal medicine doctor, didn't know how to solve this. And finally he said, look, we ran across this doctor, this doctor's books and this doctor's research, and we totally changed our life. And he saw that I was intrigued. I wanted to know more. And I was in the hospital for about 3 days. Those 3 days, this doctor spent about an hour with me outside of his rotation. He would go up to the cardiac floor, and he would sit down with me for about an hour and just school me on how this, and I'll get into it in a second, but this lifestyle, this way of eating would change. He felt that would change my life.
And it was a godsend. This man was an angel. Cause I mean, I walk in from the cafeteria or whatever, I'm like doing an errand. I come in and this doctor's like, anyway, so this is what he's on the whiteboard with him. Like I was like, whoa, he came back and he's like, yeah, he's been here like every day for an hour. It's amazing. Nobody does that.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a true blessing because he saw that I was interested and intrigued. So he just threw what he had
Mhm.
into me. And so much so, when we left that hospital, we completely changed our life. You look, at this point, before I met this doctor, I'm like, Lord, I don't care if I have to eat cardboard. I don't care if what it is. I just want to live. I just want to beat this completely. And, you know, after we adopted this lifestyle, everything changed for us. Those lipid numbers, those test results that I can never get down with, no matter how hard I worked out, no matter what other diet I was on, no matter all the medications,
Mhm.
the numbers came down so low that the doctors were like, I've never seen numbers this low. This is amazing. Whatever you're doing, you need to keep on doing it. And by the way, how are you doing it? And so what we did is, and we've continued to do more research and continue to read the books and understand this better, so we could adopt this life. But we've adopted a whole food, plant-based diet.
Mhm.
Okay. And believe me, look, I like she told you the other day, I was a meat and potatoes man, right?
Yeah. Super Bowl, 4th of July.
Yeah, I mean, barbecues all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fried food, everything. Okay.
Right.
Now, when I first was diagnosed, like I had said, I tried to change my diet. But I would still eat meat. I would still eat processed foods now and then. I would eat lean meats, for example, but I didn't cut down my sugars. I didn't cut down my salts enough.
Or dairy.
Or I didn't, dairy.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that I didn't know that I needed to do. The doctors didn't even tell me that I needed to do certain things. If they did, because I did have one doctor said, your life from now on is just going to be miserable. And you're going to eat.
Well, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, when you mentioned bedside manner, you wouldn't believe some of the bedside manner I've run across. I've run across some great, wonderful doctors, but there's some other ones that would just, tell you their opinion. And the thing is I never really had clear direction, other than maybe that doctor said, you just need to eat bland foods and just eat cardboard.
Which wasn't really direction, because we don't eat bland food or cardboard. So.
Right. And what God has showed us is a whole new way of eating, at least new to me.
Yeah. Not new to the world, but new to us. Yeah.
And how dynamic it can be, how flavorful it can be, how I was living actually I was dulling my taste buds and ripping myself off from the actual flavor of food.
Right.
And in turn, my body's starting to heal itself. And
yeah, so I wanted to chime in on that. So one of the things the doctor, he was drawing cells and things, and he was teaching, because he's an internal medicine doc, right? So he's teaching him about how food heals your body on a cellular level. He wasn't teaching him about heart disease or anything. He was just like, look, I'm just going to teach you about food and how it heals your body. And it was a doctor who wrote a book about plant-based eating, and we've read them all now, and all the different doctors, and we've adopted kind of all their different philosophies and done a lot of our own research and applied all these different strategies in our own life over the last few years, and really come up with a lot of really good methods for people. But one of the biggest things was, and the reason why all of that matters, without getting into all the science, is inflammation is the enemy of is the enemy. It's the thing that makes heart disease the worst. And so it'll feed that. So sugar, salt, fried foods, all of that, and dairy completely inflames your body. Right. And so that's one of the things we learned is, it's not all about macros and fats and carbohydrates and all this stuff that people, and calories. There's a lot of food and disease is different than food and weight loss. It's just different. And so we were like, oh, no one ever told us about food and disease and how the body interacts with it. So we learned so much science that you can't unread it. It completely changed our viewpoint on treating the body with food for disease. Now, don't get me wrong, Western medicine, there's obviously we can't do a bypass with a salad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But right. That would be
Right.
nice. But meaning positioning your body for the absolute best possible outcome to fight the disease on its own. Right. So that's what he was doing. And that's why he still has to fight heart disease, but his numbers are down. He doesn't have the inflammation. He doesn't have all of the things that are against him. So the next step, he
Well,
still had more.
before you tell the next step, I just want to let everybody know that you're tuning in to Impact Life 24/7. I've got some amazing people with me tonight in the studio, Jessica and Javie. I want you to go to their website tonight, theunderdogninja.org. So www.underdogninja.org, or go on Facebook and find Underdog Ninja. Instagram, same thing. You can find them on YouTube. And Greg has put those in the chat. Greg, put those in there again. But for our podcast audience, I would love for you guys to go check them out at underdogninja.org. And the reason why is because I think we've been on a series for my audience. You guys can attest that we've had some pretty heavy hitters on this show relative to us getting our bodies, claiming our bodies back. You know, we kicked it off with Dr. Aviska, however you pronounce his name, and he dealt with obesity, and then we had several other dietitians on and several other doctors on, and now we've got someone. You can argue with someone's theory, but you cannot argue with someone's experience.
Yeah.
You can argue with someone's, it's the same way in church. You can argue with their doctrine, but you can't argue with their experience. And Javie is a man that has gone on an 18-year journey of trying to get this body in alignment. I mean, look at him. He doesn't look over 50, but his heart was debilitated, and going through going through multiple stents and a bypass surgery, and still being told it's not getting better until it came down to what you put in your mouth. Now I'm just taking a commercial break to talk to my audience. We need to listen with not skepticism tonight, y'all, because there's a huge storm brewing in our area, and we were potentially not going to be able to do this show tonight, but God held the storm off so that I could get these fine folks on. And there's somebody that needed to hear this. There's somebody that needed to hear this, that this man who you're looking at right now is a walking miracle. I told y'all to get ready for your miracle. Javie's a walking miracle because, number one, he didn't give up. I know you can tell by his attitude that he's got a phenomenal attitude, but then it went beyond that. It'll say, okay, now let's apply some of this. So as you started introducing this, tell us about the next part of the journey.
So you want me to go?
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Take a breather. So the next thing, we were applying all of these things for a couple of years, and we had huge results. Well, first of all, I'll tell you about the results. He dropped, so did I, 40 pounds in 4 months. He got rid of his acid reflux even as a bonus. All these things happened without exercise, by the way, because at the time he had a meniscus tear in his knee from a work injury. And so he was not even able to exercise. And so it was like, we really were able to narrow it down that it really just was nutrition. His numbers were unreal. They took him off of like most of his medications over the next few months. And they were just like, keep doing it, keep doing whatever you're doing. And they even told us, I wish we have thousands of patients. It was a downtown Seattle hospital. Okay. Very busy, very, busy city, right? There's so many patients there, extremely knowledgeable staff. His cardiologist is amazing. And they said to us, we only have you and one other guy who's just trying it that's even doing this. I wish all of our patients would do this, but they won't do it. It's too hard, or they don't believe in it, or it's too much, or whatever. They just won't take it seriously. But if people would do it, they would beat heart disease. And so it was we actually walked out of that appointment when they said that, and we looked at each other and went, okay, we're going to have to help people. And that's when God really started pouring into us. It was a God moment, because we went home and just got flooded with all of the things we were going to have to do. And we were like, okay. Yeah. And so, but after about a couple of years, speaking of still having to fight heart disease, he was on a blood thinner because after you get your stent, actually it was a year, not a couple of years,
Yeah,
it was a year. Because a year you're on a blood thinner after a stent. It's protocol. Go ahead.
Let's talk about a stent. So
Yeah,
just in case.
I needed to know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so your audience, if you don't know, the form of the disease I have is plaquing of the arteries. Okay. So what happens is that your blood cells, they become sticky. So they stick together and then they get stuck to the walls of your artery, and then they start stacking. And as they stack, they harden and they start blocking the pathway, the blood pathway into the blood flow, right? So what they do with the stent is they go in through with a catheter. And back, when I first started this, they had to go through your basically your groin area and put a catheter in there and go all the way up to your heart.
Yeah, so there's an incision there.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Well, let me just tell you, because when I had my back surgery, I had a cat. Well, I woke up with a catheter, and I said, "This ain't supposed to be here. Could y'all come get somebody? Can somebody on the staff come take care of this, please? I don't want to be awake for a catheter, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry."
So
it's real, seriously.
So they send that up. Now they go through the wrist. I've had them through the wrist, which praise God for that. But they'll go in there, and at the same time they're doing this examination to see where the problems are. Once they see the problem right then and there, they'll go ahead and they'll place a stent. So they'll put a wire mesh, itty bitty type wire
like a
mesh
screen, kind of.
And it looks like a little, I guess, like a little pill, but it's a scaffolding basically. And they put that in there, and they put that into the artery, and then they expand it and push out the plaque. They push the plaque up against the walls of the artery. Now, they don't get rid of it. It's still there. It's just pushed up against it. So blood flow now could move through it. So they create almost like a tunnel and scaffolding that they hold everything up and out of the way. The problem with that, and the problem I had, it was so aggressive that it continued to plaque even on each side of the stent.
Yeah.
And so I have this train.
He has a train on one of his arteries.
My disease continued to progress. And what we were about to say is I was happy. I'm trying to get off. I've been on, keep in mind, at this point, I've been on these medications for a number of years, all kinds of different side effects. I wanted it out of my life.
Yeah, man.
I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to get off all my medications.
Right.
And so I got off my blood pressure medicine that I had been on for over a decade, and all these different things. And the doctors see my lab results, and they're like, well, yeah, you're doing great. We don't need this. We don't need that. So my annual appointment, I'm like, well, it's been 1 year, doc. Can I get off that blood thinner? And he's like, well, yeah, you should be able to do that. Unfortunately, that was the wrong decision, because 2 weeks later, I'm on a conference call here in my house, in my home office. And I was about to leave for work, but I was on this conference call. The conference call went later. And I had an appointment with one of my clients I had to go out to. And, I knew I was going to hit rush hour traffic. So I'm trying to get out, put my laptop in my bag. And as I stood up, it was like a truck hit me in the chest. Bam. And my wife, she homeschools, so she's upstairs with the kids, and I couldn't get it out loud enough for her to hear.
My.
And I'm struggling at this point, and everything's happening quick. And so I get myself up the stairs, and I was able to get her attention. And we have this now. We have this routine. When any type of emergency happens, we go through like a checklist, very quick checklist, and we're very efficient at it now. And so much so, by the time the paramedics they come through that front door and they come to me, my wife has downloaded everything that they need to know, so they know who they're treating.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't find that hard to believe at all that Jessica would quickly download everything they needed to know. And
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, you guys are being blessed by two phenomenal people, Jessica and Javi. They're out there in the Seattle, Washington area, and they are the founders of the Underdog Ninja. And I want to, because we got about 7-8 minutes left, guys. I want to get into your work and your mission that was kind of birthed because of this whole journey. So if you guys could kind of lay out the Underdog Ninja, I've given the website out. That's at underdogninja.org. But tell us about it.
Sure. So what we put together now, so we have several things. So one of them is our nonprofit. So the first thing is we have this nonprofit that we are still working on building. It's a baby nonprofit that we've had for about a little over a year. And in that nonprofit, we have a membership, like a monthly subscription membership that we have a ton of resources in: trainings, meal plans, recipes. We put stuff in it every month. We have devotionals in there that we do, and I'll get into that in a minute. And we have like fitness training, information, and stress management, all the different things with heart disease that we feel like, you would need to overcome this. One of the biggest things we do in our teaching or our coaching or our training, our mission is to help you with your faith, which then determines your character. So building your character, then which determines your actions, and that determines your results. So faith, character, and action is what we really focus on throughout all of our teaching, because we believe wholeheartedly that there's a lot of information out there on what heart disease is, basic stuff, the statistics, but nobody's really diving into, you can't do any of that unless your mind is in the right place, your heart is in the right place, your faith or your spiritual life. You have to have that dialed in. You have to take the time with that, because it's such an emotional and taxing and overwhelming time that you can't just take on the world suddenly. You have to get that right. You have to dive into that, and you have to dive into it with God. And that's what really got us through. I mean, if we're honest, it's all sure, we did the nutrition and there's all these miracles that God, that he brought us through our own actions, but it was God that did those things. There's God that, he was just talking about, he had a heart attack. That was the end of that story. And God was there. It wasn't, we have our routine, but it was God. So we teach a lot of mindset stuff, and how to get your mind right and your perspective, and how to get your hope and your peace back. And that's really the center of a lot of things that we teach. So we have all of that in our membership. We have free resources on our nonprofit website too. And then we also have our free community on Facebook, where I put a lot of, that same kind of stuff, not as much, but I have like recipes and I interact a lot in there. Both of us do, with our community, our free community. Right. And then
that's a Facebook group.
Facebook
group. Yeah. And you just go into groups and search Underdog Ninja, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Okay.
And it's free, and you can just dive into that, and you can ask questions, you can talk to us directly, and we're happy to help with anything that you need. So those are the things we can do through the nonprofit. Obviously, we have our YouTube channel as well, but outside of our nonprofit, we do have a group coaching program we call the Elite Ninja Academy that we have just a small group of people right now, but we do weekly meetings, live Zoom meetings. And so these people are from all over. We have people international as well in our program, and we work with you weekly. And we have an entire course that we've written going through nutrition, diving into fitness, going through stress management, all the mindset stuff, working through your actual issues and walking alongside you.
And the goal here has been to walk alongside them while they are going through their own heart journey. And you don't get that from the doctor's office. You don't get that really from many places. There's this huge, what we talked earlier from the very beginning about a gap. And what was that gap? That gap between doctor and patient, where there was a need of people to meet people where they're at, wherever they're at with their heart disease journey. and come alongside them. So they knew that they weren't alone, and that they had a life ahead of them, that God wanted to give them a full and thriving life. You talked earlier about not just surviving, but thriving. We say that those exact words to our people too, because surviving, praise God for that. You survived that.
Right.
But you want more than that. Because survival is just, you said that this morning, actually. Survival is just treading water. You're just up to here and you're just treading water.
Right.
But you want that's not sustainable.
No.
Right. And so we talk a lot about thriving and living your life fully.
Yeah.
And so
With purpose.
So the Elite Ninja Academy focuses on that. Every week we get online with them. We work through whatever they're struggling with, and then set goals, hold them accountable. And they hold me accountable too.
Yeah.
Believe me, these people have been such an inspiration to me in my own fight.
Right.
It's just been a huge blessing.
Javi, I got a question for you, Javi.
Yeah.
This is something that I wrote down so that I wouldn't forget. But are there warning signs, brother? If I mean, like I know I just got a colonoscopy a couple months ago, and so that's a pretty routine check. But how does someone even know? I mean, is there symptoms or you know what I mean? Not everybody's case is as dramatic as yours, but what could someone do to even know if they're on that path?
Well, I tell my people, even if someone came to me and wants to prevent, maybe they have it in their family. First thing I would say, then you need to go to your doctor and get screened. Okay. And what they do when they screen, they run a blood panel. Okay.
Yeah.
And they'll check your lipids. They'll check your lipid levels, that cholesterol level that we're talking about. They'll check the LDL, and that LDL, I call it for me to remember, is the lousy cholesterol. Okay. That's the bad cholesterol.
Yeah.
And then your triglycerides, that triglyceride number, if that's high, that you don't want that high. That goes directly to your diet. Okay. You want the HDL number to be high. You want that because that's your fitness. That's your
good cholesterol.
That's your good cholesterol. You want that. And so you want to see where you're at. And then are you overweight? And for your size and your age and things like that. So that's all a factor. That's the first thing. Then the signs are, there's obviously the chest pain, the angina, or for me, I was in the gym. I was, working out. I knew my level. I knew what I could do, but heck, I could barely, the first time this happened, I could barely walk up a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
It just,
And
something didn't seem right.
I would say that's key right there. So we could talk all day about all the things to check, like blood pressure, make sure you're checking that and everything. But really it's get to know your body, because wherever you are on the spectrum, you need to know what's high and low and normal and not normal for you. That's the main key, because for him, I mean, his blood pressure runs super low and mine runs high, and like what's normal. So make sure that you're in contact with your doctor, especially if it runs in your family, to know what's normal for you. Is your blood pressure running high? Do you feel these symptoms? And for women, the symptoms are very different. I personally just went to the hospital for 2 days because I thought I was having a heart attack. It was the worst pain I've ever had. I don't have acid reflux, nor have I had heart issues, but I have heart disease on both sides of my family. And it was actually acid reflux, but it was so bad that it took them 2 days to figure out if it was or not, because my pain was so intense. So, because women's, symptoms are different.
Yeah.
And so you really can't play around with it. And I would say my number one advice on that is do not ever be afraid to go to the hospital. Do it, because you can't go back on a bad decision that way.
Now,
Feel embarrassed.
One thing that I want our audience to do is I want you guys to go to underdogninja.org. I just sent a join request to come a part of the group. I don't think I just want to be a part of the community. You guys are so inspiring and so motivational that I'm like, you know what? I want to come and be a part of this goodness. And maybe if it ain't my physical heart, maybe I'll get my spiritual heart right, but I would love for you guys you can go on Facebook and be a part of their group. They also have a dynamic coaching model. I was just looking at the coaching elements that they have, and it's just really amazing. You can start getting your nutrition on track, being more consistent with exercise, feeling better and having more energy, finally sticking to a plan. This is why you guys need a coach. And as you can see, Sister Jessica is a straight up coach. She wide open, man. She is
Straight up.
she is definitely the ninja doing backflips. But also seeing measurable results, slowing the process of or the progress of the disease, because
Yeah.
Javie's someone who's lived through it. And so if you've got someone, a family member, or if you are you going through this yourself, I want you guys to go to underdogninja.org, and you can click on their 6-week quick start program. You hook up with Jessica and Javie because they are health coaches, and they're life coaches, and they speak life into you, helping people lose weight and finally getting your life back on track. Now, for those of us out here that wish we looked as good as Javie does, Javie, what's your actual full age, brother?
I'm going to be in a couple of weeks 53.
53 years old. Did y'all know that this brother was gonna be 53 years old in a couple weeks? I'm just like, Javie, whatever you take it, brother, I'm gonna take it too. And it's obviously dealing with plants. So there's the music, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe that this time has flown by. So because we had so much power in you guys' testimony, I'm going to do this live. I don't typically do this, but I'm going to do it for you all. And I hope you say yes. But would you guys mind coming back on the show, maybe in the late summer, early fall, and speak to our audience again about this journey? Let's get into more of the coaching elements you guys have. Hopefully y'all have a book out by then. I could see a cookbook in y'all future. I mean, I want to be down with this. I'm making an investment. Like, hey, Greg, this might be our way out the ghetto, Greg. I am teasing about that part, but no, you guys have such a faith-based foundation in everything that you do. You can hear it in your words, and also the way you're living it. And listen, the proof is in the pudding. Okay, we can talk about, well, I don't believe plant-based. Well, go on and eat your fat back and collard greens and have a heart attack. Okay, I'm just telling you that we bring people on this show that do one thing. They do one thing well. They make an impact. And that's why we had Javie and Jessica on the show, because they made an impact on me, and I knew they was going to make an impact on you. And so we got some folks saying, oh, my man Augie from Wyoming tuning in. He says, hello. Augie is a fan favorite on this show. He's a truck driver, travels all over the world, and he always tunes in to Impacting Life 24/7. And he will concur with you all that what you put in this body will determine how long this body will put out for you. So Jessica, you go first.
Okay.
I want you to give a word of encouragement to our audience.
All right. So I have two things. One is you have a hope and you have a future. Your disease, no matter what it is, doesn't define you. Okay, it just doesn't. You're you. And your purpose under God is you. And God defines who you are. He identifies you, and he created you for more than just this. So know that whatever you're overcoming, overcome it with God. And number two is, if you need to know how to move forward, it's move forward. The only way you'll ever learn how to overcome this is by doing it, is by taking it one day at a time, getting 1% better, doing a little bit every day if you have to, but doing it, not talking about it, is how you're going to get there.
Right.
All right, Javie, we're going to hear from the man, Javie.
And you know what? If you're fighting this disease, if you find yourself in the midst of this storm, I know it can feel lonely. And I know that the enemy may be just speaking right to you and just trying to isolate you and make you feel like you're alone, and that not only God has forgotten you, but everybody else has forgotten you too. I understand that. But I want to tell you, you are not alone. And God is with you in this storm. He is with you. And the only thing you need to do is trust that. Have faith in that. Okay? Be 1% better than yesterday. Take one step forward. And like you said, just move forward and believe that he is with you, and that pray that he gives you clarity. Whether it's us or not, the thing is we believe that God has a full life ahead of you. Okay. And you know, I just praise God for you. I praise God for your audience.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
and I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to them.
Oh man, the underdogninja.org, y'all. Please go hit them up. Check them out, man. I want us to connect with I want folks from all across the country and around the world to connect with them. You're talking about someone that battled heart disease for 18 years, quadruple bypass, 10 stents, I mean, all types of medications. And he tapped into his faith, and he also tapped into some works. And faith without works is dead. So he couldn't just rest on his faith alone. Javi and Jessica said, we got to put some work in, and God honors that. And so, man, we're blessed. We are blessed. Brian Popin, I feel like he even blessed the gospel singer singing with us tonight. I feel like he said, man, I'm blessed too. Here's what I want y'all to know, that if you need a coach in this arena, and I believe in coaches. Guess what? I got 5 certifications in life coaching. So I believe in life coaches. I believe we need them. And you can get a part of their group at the Underdog Ninja on Facebook, or you can go to their website, underdogninja.org, and check out their whole system. They got a 6-week course that they put together for somebody that may be struggling in this arena, or you know somebody that is. Sharing is caring. So share this. I'm asking everyone that watched this live tonight to please share this. Man, we could save a life. We talk about impacting a life. Javi, you saving lives, brother. And we thank you guys for being our new brother and sister. We all look alike anyway. So, we're going to have you guys back in the late summer, early fall, right back here in the studios on Impacting Life 24/7. Okay, guys?
All right.
Well, listen, thank you for being with us, and we'll be in touch real soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
God bless.
Night. Woo, ladies and gentlemen. Was that hype or what, man? Greg is size tiny. Augie, Greg is little. I'm triple X, bro, double X. I'm gonna get smaller than that though, especially after listening to Javi and Jessica. I told you I was gonna mess up y'all names. I'm so sorry, but I want you to go to the Underdog Ninja, the underdogninja.org. You know, sometimes this situation can have you feeling like an underdog. It can have you feeling like, man, nobody's surrounded you. Nobody's in your corner, man. And you know, Javi said, man, I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want you to feel like nobody's listening and nobody's caring. They're listening and they're caring. Craig, you know you ain't no large, brother. For my podcast audience, man, it's so cool to have the live and podcast arena. And we're very, very thankful for all of you that support us, man. If you'd like to become a sponsor of Impacting Life 24/7, we got 3 sponsorship levels. $1 a month helps keep the light on, keeps the lights on, keeps the systems working, keeps all the programs that we have to pay for every month. We've got like 7 or 8 different programs that we that we pay every month to bring quality guests to our show and organize all of this, because it's becoming is way larger than we thought it was going to be. If you're trying to service 10 different countries and coast to coast in the US, you got to be organized. So $1 a month would really help us. $5 a month gets you a free commercial on the show for the life of your sponsorship. For as long as you want to sponsor, we'll put your organization, your church, your company, you as an individual. We would love for you to become a $5 sponsorship. That's a gold sponsor. $1 is silver, $5 gold, and platinum is $15 a month. What that is our gear training, the 4-step training that I created for at-risk youth to help young people that are impoverished or don't have access to a lot of things. I go into their communities and I help them get in gear. GEAR. That's right. We give them a virtual or in-person training seminar that when they're finished, they're ready to go. There ain't no it's asking, what do I do? It's like when I did Insanity. Sean T's Insanity, you didn't have to bring no weights or no dumbbells or no wristbands or nothing. All you had to do was bring yourself. And if you brought yourself every day, in 60 days, because I did it, you looked great. And so we teach young people, man, that what's in you is already there. We just got to get you in gear. That's $15 a month, and it helps us to provide at-risk youth this training for little to no cost. So that's it for us, y'all. This is Friday. I know it's Thursday for y'all, but it's Friday for me because Greg gives me every Friday off. How kind is Greg to do that, man? I appreciate that, Greg. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you for all of our listeners around the world. I'm not saying that hyperbole. All around the world. No, really, literally 10 different countries, man. How awesome is that? And that's because consistently Monday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night, you see me and I talk about Greg, so he's there too. And that's a huge sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen, because Greg's got a family, he's got a granddaughter, he's got all different types of obligations, and that brother shows up with me every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8:30 without fail. That's why he's my best friend on the planet. And he said overtime. Good night, Augie. We love you, man. And yes, overtime coming soon. That's right, Greg. It's coming, brother. You just hang tight. All right, y'all. We'll see you back in the High Definition Studios Monday at 8:30 p.m. If you'd like to become a sponsor, go to clkingspeaker.com. Scroll down to the bottom, click on the sponsorship link. We'll fix you in for a monthly sponsorship of your choice. All right. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters. And thank you most of all to you that make Impact Life 24/7 happen. We'll see you again on Monday. Take care.